Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Plutonium Show.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. A lot to get through today, I think. Sometimes it looks like it's a lot, and then it's not, so we'll see how it goes. We want to start off, actually, with Katherines' video that she put out announcing the end of her chemotherapy. Now, that video came out literally overnight after we posted our last podcast. You know, the perks of living in Australia.
Yeah, always behind or ahead or just the mixture of both where it always works out inconvenient.
Yeah, it's just never right. So we never got a chance to talk about it, which is probably a good thing because a lot of opinions on social media, mainstream media, have emerged, you know, commenting on whether that was an appropriate thing to do for the future king and queen and whether this is the new monarchy. Because a lot of people are split. They either like it and they think this is a modern route to take for the monarchy and, you know, just to show people they're human beings just like us and it's more relatable versus the old school, you know, kind of Queen Elizabeth era or even all the eras before her of a detached monarch, kind of otherworldly, kind of in a different realm, mysterious, basically. And, you know, keeping personal life completely separate to their role, their public role.
Right.
So what do you think?
Okay. Well, based on the whole vibe of the video, right? I think part of the cynicism, I'm guessing here, part of the cynicism probably comes from the fact that normally when we see a video like that in such high production, normally we're getting sold something. So we're kind of missing the message because we've seen this before. We've seen companies do the whole walking through the fields shot and it's like, buy this product. Oh, don't you wish you were wearing this dress?
Yep.
Oh, don't you wish you had these shoes? Oh, how about this makeup line? And it's always twisted.
Yeah, some people said it looked like a shampoo advert.
And that's just it, right? Because shampoo adverts have poisoned these sorts of shots so many times and other adverts have ruined the artistic side. And as someone who hates hates not being able to get away from advertising and, you know, I just want the option to get away. Looking at this, I can see why people might not kind of put those two together and go, wait, maybe it's because I've been poisoned against this. But I tried to see it as unbiased as possible. I tried to remove all of that and focusing on just the message. I think what Katherine's goal here is to give this to those who are going through their own journey. And I understood that from the beginning. She said it at the end, but that's what I understood from the beginning. This isn't for me. This isn't for people who are not going through this particular hardship. This is for people who are in the thick of it, who maybe their treatment isn't going as well, or maybe their diagnosis is worse. And for Katherine to come down from her throne and say, I'm just like you, and here, let me give you some motivation. I think that message by itself is really sweet, and she didn't have to do that. At the same time, if she didn't do that, people would be poking and prying. Hey, Katherine, what's going on? Hey, Katherine, what's going on? Hey, Katherine, what's... Because she is part of the royal family, and when it first happened, people didn't want to give her privacy. So now that she's trying to be open, it's not good enough. Now it's like, no, you're too open. No, I think it's a matter of some people will pick on whatever they do just because they like picking on the royal family.
It's not just the royal family. Hearing you say this, it reminded me of just a career as a content creator. You know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You'll always have your naysayers and your supporters. So yeah, excellent points. I never saw it from the advertisement side of things. I only heard people's criticism comparing it to an ad, but you saying we've been so poisoned into thinking everything is an ad is such an interesting perspective that I agree with. My initial thoughts were obviously relief for her, because I remember how devastated I was when, you know, a few months ago in March, she announced that she had cancer.
Yeah, me too.
And it was really rough. You know, we don't know her, but it's weird. I guess it's because we talk about them so often. We're invested, and she is such a lovely person. You can just tell it's an aura. Yeah. So you go, why of all people? I'm not that anyone deserves cancer, but you kind of go, ugh. So seeing her announce that she's done, and seeing her healthy, and seeing her with her family, and it was obviously such a relief. But then I was also wondering, because I'm such a private person myself, I'm biased in the sense that I don't think I would have done that, but that doesn't mean she's wrong in doing that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in social media, what's become really clear is if they wouldn't do it, then it's wrong objectively.
Yeah, not being able to see things from other people's perspectives.
Exactly, yeah. But seeing it from how you've described it, I agree. It must be so important for people going through something as horrific as cancer.
Yeah.
To see that. And to see that she's one of us, as I said earlier, a relatable human being. No matter how privileged she is, cancer doesn't discriminate.
Absolutely.
We obviously wish her all the best. I hope King Charles is also on the path to recovery.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people sometimes forget that they're human beings and that they're this privileged bunch, who live off taxpayer money. But they're for me, I've said this before on the channel, I see the members of the royal family as completely separate to the monarchy.
Yeah.
That's how I see them. I see them as individual human beings. And that's why we can get worked up about how Meghan and Harry treat them. Because you shouldn't be treating human beings who have been good to you that way.
This isn't a faceless corporation, right? And some people want to see it that way, as the faceless corporation of the monarchy. Again, because we've seen so many faceless corporations out there do such horrible things. And I think because of that, let's say that I have a problem with the faceless corporation. I call up and I've got a complaint. The person I'm speaking to on the other end is human. They are not the faceless corporation, right? We so often, I think people so often forget that everyone you're dealing with is human. Because the way, again, content creators can be treated, because, you're on a platform. I'm going to say whatever I want because I'm hiding behind the internet. Or even just the way that these people who happen to be born into a royal family have been treated. Everyone's deserving of some sort of respect for being a human. And when we forget they're human and we go, you're part of the monarchy, so you don't deserve respect. Or you're a content creator, so you don't deserve respect. You work for faceless corporations, so you don't deserve... No. Everyone deserves respect unless they're a horrible human being and proven otherwise, such as...
Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and every other problematic person you may even know in your personal life, honestly. There was also... this is so on point. And I pinned this as a comment, actually, on the last podcast because I needed to say it. Right off the back of this update from Catherine, Netflix announces Harry's Polo docuseries or whatever.
The PR machine working as they go.
But can you imagine how disgusting you are, not you, but Harry and Meghan are, that they capitalized off of the interest that Catherine was generating as a member of the royal family.
Yeah.
They piggybacked off it to announce their pathetic polo show.
Yep.
A show about animal abuse, really.
Oh, hold on a second. You're talking about animal abuse. How about human abuse? Huh? Harry? Hello? Meghan? Human abuse? No? Not ringing any bells? Oh, okay. No, let's focus on whatever your show is twisted on. But also, why are they pretending they're a part of the royal family? Because for all intents and purposes, they're not. Like, William and Catherine did something, so we have to do something too. You're not playing in the same court anymore.
Not at all. But it's interesting you say that, because the next topic is actually Harry's 40th birthday, which was yesterday, Sunday the 15th, I believe. And the royal family has this protocol where for every milestone birthday that ends with a 0, for non-working royals, they issue a public happy birthday message.
Right.
Now, they've done that this time. So the royal family's official Instagram and official social media accounts released this photo of Harry, which we'll get to this photo, by the way. There's an interesting fact that you might enjoy.
You know what I enjoy is the fact that there's a photo of Harry smiling somewhere out there, because every time we've seen Harry recently, it's... What have I done?
Yeah, and I don't want to be mean, but you can tell from his hair that this is an older photo because he does not have that head of hair anymore.
I could tell just from the smile.
Yeah, fair enough. But you'll be interested to find out that the reason for the disappearance of his smile isn't too far away from this picture. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
So wishing a happy 40th birthday to the Duke of Sussex, and then the Prince and Princess of Wales's official account reposted it.
Right.
They didn't make their own post, but they reposted it. Now, the online discourse over the weekend, this happened just yesterday. So over the past 24 hours has been quite intense over this simple message, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
You have camp pro royal family for doing this. Good on you. You know, you're showing that you're not petty. After all, he is your son / brother / member of the family.
Okay, we've been over that one, but I'll come back to that.
And this is protocol. They even did it for Prince Andrew's 60th birthday in 2020, even though he's pretty much...
Oh, right. Okay.
You know? So it's not just a Harry thing. I also want to bring it to people's attention that they wished Harry and Meghan. Now, Meghan in 2021 was her 40th birthday. So it was a milestone. That was months after the Oprah interview. And they still wished her on their social media a happy birthday. And they wished Harry a happy birthday that year, even though it wasn't a milestone birthday for him. So I get the sense that people are forgetting that because what they did on Oprah was no laughing matter.
No, it wasn't at all. That's enough for excommunication on its own.
Yeah, but they still wish them a happy birthday because, again, it's protocol. I'm sensing also because it would get the media off their backs. Because, of course, you're going to get the naysayers who say, oh, they're so petty. See, they are racist. See, they are this and that. And they do hate them. How dare they not wish him a happy birthday? So they've shut down all of these accusations, which would probably emanate from Camp Montecito itself.
Yeah.
So they've robbed them of that opportunity.
Yeah, which is very satisfying.
Yes. And then there are people who say, I'm done with the royal family. I can't believe this. How dare they after everything he's done? And the way they're seeing it is, I think, again, possibly from a personal angle where they're putting themselves, maybe they've been wronged by someone like Harry and Meghan and they feel that, oh my God, how dare you?
Yeah.
Wish him a happy birthday. I also noticed people saying this is giving off a wrong message to the public who aren't so invested in Meghan and Harry in the sense that they don't know much about them. So when they see this public support, they would assume that Meghan and Harry are in fact being endorsed in everything else they do. Yeah. Including the trips to Nigeria, Colombia. I have to stop saying it like that.
Nah, I'm happy for you to say it like that.
I'm not Colombian, by the way. Although
Meghan probably is pretending to be still, you
know. Colombia. Did I say it normally?
I don't.
I don't know.
I've heard it so many times.
I get possessed by
Colombia.
Yeah. So there's that angle, which part of me is inclined to agree with. Yeah. You know, because all of this after everything they've done, for them to be seen, to be legitimized, you know, to be still seen as part of the royal family. Yes. Flies against everything people like us and other channels and other, you know, platforms do to dispel that myth. Because yes, Harry will always be a prince and Charles' son, but they're not, especially because they capitalize so much off of being related to the royal family, right? Yeah. It's how they make their money. Yeah. That distinction, like that separation needs to be clear.
I do wonder what the calculations were, because you have to assume that everything the royal family does is calculated. They have plenty of advisors. They have plenty of people around them who, you know, just because William and Catherine aren't all over Instagram and everything that's new and hot and how things are, you would assume they have people employed to do that. So I do wonder what the calculations were for this. There are going to be pros and cons. Obviously, the cons being that, yes, I entirely agree, now that you've mentioned it, that for people not involved, which could have been me, you know, if we hadn't, you know, looked into this, I would probably be one of those people who, you know, didn't know Meghan from a bar of soap. Mm-hmm. But this does have that danger. But perhaps there's enough discourse that, as far as their inside sources go, that they could safely do this. and they know that enough people know what's going on. And now it's probably the minority who don't know that Meghan and Harry are horrible.
I don't know. I think we think it's the minority because we are kind of in this community of outing them. And so we think because we have a community and, audience and subscribers, we think, oh yeah, we all know. But I think when you get out of our bubble, which in the grand scheme of things is very small.
Yeah.
And when I say our, I don't mean just the two of us. I mean the community on social media, on YouTube that exposes them.
Yeah.
When you get out of that bubble and you talk to literally your friend or your mom or your sister or whatever, your relatives, your coworkers, they don't know. And so again, they get legitimized. And I think there's an extra danger there. You know how we talked about in the Sussex Windsor series about how Meghan and Harry are either deliberately or unintentionally or both at the same time destroying the Commonwealth.
Yes.
By giving the enemies of the Commonwealth that want to destabilize it ammunition. That's racist. See, a member said it herself. So when you legitimize them and see them as still part of the royal family, it actually makes their attacks more destructive.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Which would mean that I hope that whatever possessed them to do this, to make this post, was some sort of 4D chess move that no matter how much I sit here and scratch my head about, I could never figure out, and maybe no one else could.
Yeah.
But that can also be wishful thinking.
No, but I'm leaning more towards, they why not wish him a happy 40th?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm torn, but yeah, I'm kind of leaning more towards that. That doesn't mean I don't appreciate the arguments against making this post.
Yeah.
Because they do make sense.
I totally understand where they're coming from. Now, I'm done with the royal family. I mean, look, good people do one bad thing. Do you just cut them off? I mean, and let's flip the logic. Bad person does one good thing. Oh, they're completely redeemed. It doesn't work.
Ever since I was a content creator, I realized you say one thing that someone doesn't like, I'm unsubscribing.
Yeah, this isn't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. Anyway. But yeah, I don't think it's worth I'm leaving, the royal family community or whatever it is. I think that
we have to trust in the process.
I would like to think that, yes. At the same time, this is the same process where we discussed this last week, how we feel as if King Charles hasn't been that hard on Harry, but there's a method to what we would perceive as madness. And of course, for the camp of supporting, his family, so you should wish him happy birthday. Come on, people. Family can hurt you in some cases more than people who don't know you. Yes. So family is still human. Human is still capable of hurting each other.
Yes.
You don't get some special, you can stab me in the back as many times as you want because you're my family.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's how cycles of abuse happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Another angle, I think that it's kind of connected to what we said about Catherine and her update. Again, I feel like people only want to perceive things from their perspective. And I understand that we all, that's, try as we may, we really only have our perspective. Mm-hmm. And it can be difficult to put yourself in other people's shoes because you're not actually living their life. But sometimes we have to remember that we don't know Harry in the way that the royal family knows him. So there might be ties between them, love, experiences, for King Charles raising his son, for William growing up with his brother, that we are not privy to. And they might also, not solely, but also factor into these public messages. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, I do not doubt that they love him.
Yeah.
You can't, we all have family members. There are some that they really make it hard to love them. Mm-hmm. And I completely understand that. And perhaps that's how William feels. Perhaps that's how King Charles feels. But there's also the possibility that they still harbor love for him.
Yeah.
That hasn't been broken yet.
Well, let me put it this way. Harry wasn't saying this stuff before Meghan.
Exactly. So they might be thinking or knowing that he's under her thumb and this isn't our real Harry.
Yes, and even if because every family, every single relationship, friends, family, co-workers, whatever it is, there is always going to be at least a minor dispute if you spend enough time with people.
At the same time, though, because I feel like we need to always be mindful whenever we say he's under her thumb, I always have to go back to, but let's not forget there have always been hints of his bad character.
Yes.
And the PR machine was covering up for him.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Another reason people have been upset with this post is because they believe it has overshadowed a Hollywood Reporter article that has surfaced in the last couple of days, which was incredibly damaging to Meghan Markle. Now, Zach, I don't know if you know, but the Hollywood Reporter is, generally a very respectable publication.
I do need to be told that because for the most part, I assume every publication is lying to me.
Yeah. I don't know much about it, but every time I hear about it from journalists, they say it's got gravitas.
Right. Okay.
Let us know in the comments if you're American, if that's accurate. Now, I'm sure you've all, or a lot of you, have already heard about this article. We won't be reading through it, except for a few key paragraphs. So the title is Why Hollywood Keeps Quitting on Harry and Meghan. Now, remember the bullying report?
Yes. How could we forget?
Remember how it was buried?
Mm-hmm.
And remember how Meghan not just insinuated, but pretty much stated that this was a smear campaign and it was false and it was the racist British media.
Oh, she would know all about smear campaigns, wouldn't she?
Absolutely. And the racist royal family, and they're jealous of me and they hate me.
Self-report.
Now, if that were true, which we all know it's not, but if that were true, then her revolving door of staff would have stopped in the UK.
Yep.
It would have stopped with the palace staff.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know over the past 4 years that revolving door has only gotten faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
And that's what sparked this article with the very recent departure of a man called Josh Kettler, who was working as chief of staff with them. He left in 3 months.
Okay. All right.
And that's not just him. The article actually goes through a list of all the people that have worked for them and left. So the article asks, why'd they all leave? What explains the churn? Everyone's terrified of Meghan, claims a source close to the couple. She belittles people. She doesn't take advice. They're both poor decision makers. They change their minds frequently. Harry is a very, very charming person. No airs at all. But he's very much an enabler. And she's just terrible. So if this was a smear campaign from the palace, Meghan, then pray tell us why the Hollywood Reporter, who had interviewed at least 12 people, according to their editor-in-chief.
Mm-hmm.
He was interviewed. I'll put up a clip, but he confirms at least 12 people. And I'm assuming a lot of these people are not palace staff.
Our reporter talked to, I think, a dozen people. Most of them are people who have worked very closely with the couple in various capacities now and previously.
Let's just throw a little bit more gasoline into this fire before we get started. Do you remember that we've actually met one person who's worked with her before?
Yes.
We met a whole person who's worked with Meghan Markle, and he did not have very nice things to say.
He didn't work with her. He worked at an event
when
she was still a working royal. So this is so funny because this was way before YouTube, a year before, 2019. We had this friend. We didn't meet him. He's our friend. Well, kind of like acquaintance. And he tells us about how he worked. He went to the UK for a little bit. I can't believe we've never even brought this up. I'm so glad you did.
I just assumed we had because it's like such a good story.
It really is because it's like, wow, it was pretty much almost 1 degree of separation.
Yeah.
So he worked in the UK for a year, I think, before he came back to Australia. And so he comes back and then he mentions, and this is, again, 2019, I'm just a kid and I don't care about the royal family. YouTube's not a thing. And I hear about how he did an event for the royal family. He's like, yeah, I even did an event for a royal family. And I said, oh, really? Did you see Meghan? And he goes, yeah, she was there. And I was like, how was she? And he was like, oh, she was a B word. He was like, she was such a B. And I was like, really? Wow. I didn't, I was surprised.
Yeah, I genuinely forgot the word he used, but yeah.
Oh, he said that. And he said that with vitriol. Like
Yeah.
it was, she was,
And let me put it this way. This friend of ours has worked plenty of events and met plenty of people who are a little bit up themselves, because the higher up in the hierarchy you get, the more people want things done their way. And this is just how events are. But for him to say it that way, I've never heard him talk about anyone else that way.
Yeah. He's a pretty chill guy.
He's really chill.
So that was very interesting. And little did me know, young me know that I'd have basically an online career talking about how much she's a pain in the,
Yep.
So yeah, that was in 2018 when he worked. So this was when she was a fresh working royal. I have a suspicion, he didn't tell me this, I have a suspicion it's the event where she's wearing a yellow canary dress, because you can see all the AV tech over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's the only, there's obviously in every publicized event, there is, audiovisual people and technology and to broadcast it and to light it up and to microphone it. But yeah, it was definitely in 2018. So she was a pain as a as a freshly minted duchess.
Yeah. And I don't think an Australian who went to spend a year in the UK and then came back to Australia had any agenda of, I want to bring down Meghan because I'm jealous of her.
Oh, he couldn't care less who she was.
That's genuinely how events go. You just all right, I'm going to do my job, and that's just how it is.
And he was just a regular Aussie bloke. He's not invested in the royal family. He doesn't care, So it was a very just, what's the word? Just a very genuine response.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's throw that into the mix. Now let's look at the Hollywood Reporter. Now let's look at the bullying allegations. I think we've got a common theme here. Everyone is saying Meghan is a pain to work with. Everyone's presenting evidence unless the reports are, hidden. So, and we also know that Meghan likes to, shall we say, persuade the truth into something that is less truthful. Starts with an L, ends with an I. But
you can say she's a liar.
Oh, she's a liar. So you tell me.
One more thing, because I think I'm going to put this in the thumbnail. It goes on just for briefly. It says, she's absolutely relentless, says one source. She marches around like a dictator in high heels, fuming and barking orders. I've watched her reduce grown men to tears.
And here's the crux of it. You didn't need the Hollywood Reporter to tell you that, because we have discussed this
for years
without being a part of any of these, without being anywhere near her. You can tell she rocks up wearing what she wants to wear, and you can tell because she's not wearing the appropriate outfit for the occasion and for the weather.
Yeah, she's not listening.
Not even for the weather. She's not listening to anyone or anything. You can tell that even down to her speeches, everything, things that if you were a working royal would be curated and taken down and jotted and just thought about.
And the best part is, this really flies in the face of her lies. I don't think she can keep track of her lies.
No.
Because when her Flopcast Archetypes, RIP, when that was airing in late 2022, in one of the episodes, I remember this so clearly, she talked about how it was difficult for her to assert herself as a woman.
Because I often find myself, even in walking into a room, I'm particular, but I also know that I will find myself cowering and tiptoeing into a room, and you're like, oh my God, stop. You're allowed to set a boundary. You're allowed to be clear. Yep. It does not make you demanding. It does not make you difficult. It makes you clear.
And she said that as a direct response to everyone talking about her difficult personality and branding her as Duchess Difficult.
Duchess Difficult. Oh boy.
So isn't it interesting? We hear her say, oh, I'm scared. I'm tiptoeing. I'm asking questions. I'm so scared to make statements. And then we have the polar opposite coming from various different people across the pond on both sides. And I don't know if this was a clapback. It could have been a clapback. I mean, knowing Meghan, it's a clapback. She and Harry were seen on the 14th, so a day before his birthday, at the Alliance for Children's Rights without their children, even though there were children at the event. Which I don't know what the whole event was for. There was a tennis tournament, basically raising funds for the Alliance of Children's Rights. And almost every single photo of Meghan, she had to make sure, was of her hugging people. And to me, it looks like, see, I'm a lovely person. Yeah. I hug people. I'm a hugger. As opposed to, you know, what the Hollywood Reporter is painting her as, which is... Oh, God,
no. Do not come anywhere near me with those arms, please. You don't know how to hug. I think we can see that photo where she doesn't know how does this work?
It's always awkward, yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? But everything Meghan does is a clapback. Everything is reactionary. Yep. Everything has some sort of agenda. And it's unlike the royal family where it's a calculated either response or something that they're just putting out because it's the right thing to do. Then there's Meghan.
And you know what's really telling from this article and all the other articles and the Times article that was released by Valentine Lowe a couple of days before the Oprah interview accusing her of bullying? She has never sued. The Hollywood Reporter would not put this out without, having its sources and having evidence to back up what it's saying. Because, this is why I said I think it's a more of a respectable publication. It's not tabloid trash where they don't care what they put out.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then there's also the fact that she's kind of, stuck between a rock and a hard place, because if she doesn't sue, it gives people like us ammunition to say that it must be true. If she sues, she risks discovery. You know what discovery is going to entail?
Oh boy, I would love that. Please sue Meghan so we can get all of the dirty laundry, please.
And then after discovery, if it goes to trial, witness testimony.
She's done.
Yeah.
She's done. It's going to be Amber on the stand all over again.
Exactly.
It's going to be, my dog got stung by a bee. It's going to happen. Oh, it's going to be a repeat. And we're just going to be sitting back watching someone who pretended to be an actress once upon a time fall apart on the stand when they really needed to learn how to act for that one role being real life.
So, to wrap this up, some people are saying that the royal family is kind of sending out a message to Harry, a cryptic message, based on the photo they picked for his birthday post, that if he cuts Meghan out, then he's going to be welcome back. This is speculation. I'm not the one saying it. I thought it was an interesting theory to put out. Because when you look at the photo, again, you assume, as you assumed, I'm sure, that this was pre-Meghan.
It has to be. He doesn't smile like that anymore.
Well, what if I showed you this?
No way. No way. She's right there.
This is 2018. I believe this is actually before their marriage.
Oh.
When they were engaged.
Oh, so she was still behaving. Oh, okay. No, that just... My point still stands. It was before the real Meghan.
Before the ring on the finger. Well, the wedding ring.
Yeah, because at that point, it's... Yeah, nah.
But isn't it funny? This is why I thought I'd bring it up, even though I'm not a fan of speculation. Isn't it funny that of all the pictures they could have chosen? They could have chosen. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
It sounds correct.
Yeah.
Of all the pictures they could have chosen, they picked one where she was there and they cropped her out. Because obviously there are a lot of pictures of Harry. They could have picked a photo of him as a baby.
Yeah.
They could have picked a photo of him as a teenager, maybe graduating from Sandhurst. These milestone kind of, hey, look, we like pre-Meghan Harry. But they went ahead and picked this photo. Now, people could really be reading into it, and we may be completely off the mark. But I found it a very interesting and compelling argument nonetheless, at least to put forth to the audience and to you to see whether there's any credence to that.
Take this photo, and instead of wishing a happy 40th birthday to the Duke of Sussex, put, have you seen this man? Lost since 2018.
Yeah.
Missing persons.
It's like, it reminds me of Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
When he got together with Amber, and Johnny was like 50 when he got together with Amber, okay? But he looked incredible. And then a year or two with her, maybe a handful of years. And I see him in Fantastic Beasts. And I'm like, I know he's in, Grindelwald getup.
Yeah.
But even on the premiere, on the red carpet, that era, basically, he looked like he literally looked like she sucked the life out of him.
That you took the words out of my mouth, because that's what it is. Because 6 years with the wrong person can feel like 60. And I think that's what's happened to him.
Yeah.
I think, and we've all seen it. We've all seen, we've heard stories. Maybe we've had a friend like that, who's just, okay, well then, they're done. They're under the thumb and there's no way to get them out. And that's what I see for Harry. And regardless of all the bad things he's done before Meghan, right? Regardless of all the bad things he's done after, there's still just that little bit of, well, I'd like to hear his side of everything.
Yes.
Because I think that's what's missing here. Right now, as the enabler, he doesn't get to speak his mind.
Well, isn't it interesting how the Hollywood Reporter just said he's really, really charming, according to sources? And he has no airs.
That's not the side of Harry we see when they're photographed together.
Exactly. He
comes alive when he gets up for air and gets to talk to another person.
Yes.
Right? And then she brings him back down and goes, no. You come down here where you belong, because let's be honest here. Meghan is probably still jealous of him. And the fact that he's good with people, the fact that he was born into a royal family, which, by the way, he can't help. So you shouldn't be jealous of him for that.
Yep.
The fact that you shouldn't be jealous at all, really.
Yes.
So, of course, when she's that jealous, she has to stomp it out the same way she tries to stomp out Catherine, the same way she tries to stomp out anything the royal family does, the same way that she, in a way, I guess, stomps out her own children, because where are they?
Yeah.
At a children's event for raising money for children.
She dims his light.
Absolutely.
Because no one can outshine her.
Yeah, exactly. She has to be belle of the ball.
Yep. Boy, have I been on the receiving end of that behavior.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. I don't know how that's why I don't know how he puts up with it. Like, you can't be that in love with someone after years after the lust has faded. And you see them for who they really are, you can't still, I don't know. That's why it's like, is there a missing piece here?
You know how first impressions mean a lot, right? The way someone first sees you, it kind of shapes the rest of the way they see you. Mm-hmm. I think what Meghan's done here is she's worked so hard on the first impressions and worked so hard on getting him in there that Harry probably still thinks that Meghan is somewhere deep inside her. And then if he just does all the right things, he'll get that Meghan out again and everything will be okay.
The Meghan that came out when she followed the rules. If you watched my last video going through that experience, I want to be respectful to people who follow the rules, because I actually found one comment, there's probably more, telling me that in a very respectful way. That's why I'm very impressed that the person wasn't mad at me, but I did give a disclaimer saying it's all in good fun. But they actually said, I followed the rules and I'm happily married for like 30 plus years. So I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but Meghan, yeah, watch that video if you haven't. It was a lot of fun to make, and we'll actually do a follow-up.
Yeah.
Asking Zach as a man, is this accurate? Does this work on men? I want to say this before I forget.
Yeah.
We're going to start wrapping up soon. For people who say, oh, he's just aging, or this is just life, and how dare you be ageist, I bring you back to Johnny Depp, who was 50 or 49 when he met Amber. And when he left her and healed, look at him now.
Yep.
He looks 10 years younger than he did 10 years ago.
Yes. And funny you should say that, because often the story that I tell people about meeting you, I'm going to try not to get too personal.
Yes, please.
But I tell people that I feel better today than before I met you, both health, mentally, everything, because you have helped me become a better me, right? As partners should help each other. And if you see healthy couples together, that's exactly what they do. They help each other get out of their bad habits. They help each other, basically to just be a better human.
Yes. If you love someone, you want that for them.
Exactly. So the opposite is true when you have a horrible person who wants to just step on you and use your fame. And it's funny how many parallels there are between Amber and Meghan right now. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Amber being so jealous of Johnny,
Yes.
that he was talented, that he had connections, that he was good with people, that he was charming, that he was everything she could not be, no matter how hard she tried.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you can't fake it till you make it, Amber and Meghan.
They must have been following the rules, because that's literally the first rule. Fake it till you make it.
It's funny because I've seen like one or two, but I'm purposely not reading through them for, natural reactions. Oh, let's throw Elizabeth Holmes into that as well. Except that fake it till you make it with medicine. Jeez.
It'll be interesting to see if, and I'm not wishing this upon them, I'm really not, if they separate. It'll be interesting to see if Harry does a Johnny and regenerates, and basically ages backwards. And I wouldn't just be saying this about men, flip it around. It would be interesting to see if that's what happens with women who are in abusive relationships or difficult relationships, whether they would just come to life again once they leave. Let us know if you have gone through that experience yourself, or whether you know someone close to you and you've seen it before your very eyes, because it's a very interesting and fascinating phenomenon.
Yeah, if you put a human in an unhealthy environment, naturally they're going to suffer for it.
But I suppose you didn't answer. What do you think? Was this crop strategic or just a coincidence and everyone's reading into it?
I think that if you were employing strategists, being the royal family, you would be employing people who are thinking 200 steps ahead of the general public. So even if that was the case, I don't think it would be so obvious, because it kind of is. Like it feels, and yes, Occam's razor, I think it's Occam's razor, where the simplest solution is normally the correct one. Yes, there is an argument for that, but I can't say definitively.
Yeah, no one can. That's what we have to all remember when we voice our opinions, and we don't know. So we have to stop taking things too seriously and getting angry in the comment section if someone says something that you don't agree with. And this applies to everything, because I see that so much in our comment section. If I say I believe she was pregnant, I get people really rage at me. It's like, calm down. So it's the same here. Let's stop taking this too seriously.
If you're going to try and prove someone wrong, do it with facts, not with emotion. Show us the facts. Have a discussion.
Yes.
The best conversations are discussions, not arguments, not fights, not any of that. It is discussions. It is when two people can sit down, disagree about something, but talk about why they disagree about it respectfully.
Yeah. I think that's it. So thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know if you think this photo was strategically picked. It's okay if you think so. Just because Zach doesn't think so doesn't mean you're right and he's wrong, or he's wrong and doesn't mean he's right and you're wrong. Just
let's talk about it. Let's present the evidence.
We're allowed to come to our own conclusions, I suppose. I never thought of it, so I'm not going to say that I think this is what happened.
Yeah.
Because it would never have crossed my mind. But yes, let us know. We'll see you in the comments and in the next episode.
We'll see you then.
Take care.
Bye.